Good morning. This is Chanel. I am the owner of Escape with Chanel Self-Care Retreats and Spas. And I wanted to come and introduce myself a little more formally to you because some of you I know really well and some of you are just getting to know me. And you're just getting started on your journey of self-care. So, thank you for joining us and thank you for joining me this morning and allowing me to come and speak with you. It's always hard when you get to share your story and about your history and your past and what creates you to become the person that you are. But I think it's really important because why else would you think that I know anything about self-care, and why would you want to join me on this journey if I'm not willing to share a little bit about myself? So, I was born to teen parents back in 1968. It's hard to imagine. I know I look so youthful. And at that time, it wasn't that uncommon. Well, my parents were very young and great, loving, incredible people that they are and were. They were young and didn't really know how to be parents. My mom, they divorced early, and we stayed with my mom. And my mom was like a lot of teen moms who loved us very, very deeply and wanted us to love her desperately. And she relied on that a lot. And as we grew up and got older, she worked really, really hard to take care of us and do the best job that she could. And I often felt stifled along the way because I felt like she wasn't letting me be my best version of myself, and she wasn't letting me do the things I wanted. Typical mother-daughter types of things. What I also noticed was that she was working so hard she wasn't taking care of herself. In fact, she was doing a lot of harm and damage to herself just to cope with the stress of being a parent, a single parent, the stress of having a difficult relationship, the stress of working all the time just to make ends meet. She drank a lot. She smoked more than I think anybody would ever dream of smoking now. She never exercised. She was involved with people who were less than lovely to her, and one who was extremely abusive to her. And I committed to myself at a very young age that I was not going to have that life. I was not going to do those things. I was intended to do something different. I was intended for greatness. I had no idea what that greatness looked like, but I was going to have a very different life. And there were times when I was very resentful because it felt like my mom wanted to keep me close by. She was afraid that we wouldn't love her anymore. And so she wanted to hold tight to that. Fast forward to past my own traumas and my own bad choices throughout my life, and to 1999 when I moved to Ireland. And I know that for my mom that was a devastating time because she felt like she was losing me. For me, it was finally my opportunity to see what the world was like and to be the best version of myself that I could possibly imagine. And it was better than I could have ever imagined. I learned how to be the best version of me. I built an incredible network of friends. I had a wonderful career there. I managed to buy a house, a beautiful little stone cottage in the country. I had money to travel. I was able to share this life with family and friends who came to visit me, including my mom. Then, fast forward again, 8 years later, I'm being called to move home because every time there's a time, a season, there's a season of change, and we have to leave and we have to change our perspectives and our mindsets. And God gives us these opportunities to look at the world a little differently. And once you've learned what you need to learn and experience what you need to experience, it's time to move on. My time to move on was in 2007 when I had the opportunity to come home and support my mom again. And what was happening, although we didn't know it at the time, was we were given an opportunity to fast-track healing and a rebuilding of our relationship. And for me to fast-track a forgiveness and of myself as well as my mom, because that time was very, very short. In 2012, my mom was diagnosed with severe dementia. She was 62 years old at the time. And what we noticed was that there were lots of things that were so strange and such strange behaviors, and she was unable to do the things she'd always been able to do. She remembered us. She knew who we were. But there was a lot of anger and a lot of fear, and at times there was so much frustration. I couldn't even imagine how frustrated I could be. Fast forward a little bit further when her condition progressed drastically, and I started to realize our time is really, really very short. Let's start enjoying these moments a bit more. And we did. I have some incredible, incredible memories and stories that I will love to share with you if you ever want to know about my mom and my time with her over the last few years. The main diagnosis was severe dementia, and the doctors really truly felt as though her condition was a result of alcohol abuse, smoking maybe, physical abuse, a lot of head trauma, and stress. All of the things that when I was young repelled me from the life and caused difficulty between my mom and I. And then come to find out that it was probably what was leading to her living with this condition for however long she had it. And then I had to work to not be resentful for my mom basically taking her life without taking her life. Not understanding that she needed to have taken better care of herself in order to be with us longer, to be with me longer, to be with her grandchildren longer. There was some healing that had to happen there. And thankfully, I am a strong woman of faith, and that healing has happened. And it happened between my mom and I before she passed away. I got the opportunity to love my mom and to recognize where she was and the decisions and the choices that she made. At the time that she made them were the best that she could make. She did her very best. No one could have loved us more than my mom did. No one could have loved me more. No one could have been a better mother than she was. There are certain things she could have done differently, maybe, but no one could have been a better mother to me than she was at that time. And that's what I came to realize. Letting the anger and the sadness and the fear and the frustration go, and just letting the love heal that relationship and bless the time that I had with her, and help me understand just how vitally important self-care truly, truly is. We want to care for our children. We want to care for our spouses. We want to care for our parents. We want to care for our aunts and uncles. We want to care for others maybe that we're paid to take care of. All of that takes energy, and it takes time, and it takes spirit. And if we are not nurturing our own bodies and our own hearts and our own spirit, we are not going to be able to do that for the long haul without causing serious damage to ourselves. So, healing the relationship with my mom, practicing self-care, and then recognizing just how important self-care is, and making a choice to be of service to others in that way. So that's how I've come to be the owner of Escape with Chanel Self-Care Retreats and Spas. Why I think self-care is so important, why I practice it on a daily basis, and why I encourage each one of you to practice it on a daily basis. So, thank you. My call to action for you today is that you release any anger, release any frustrations, release fear, release sadness, embrace love, let it heal you, and include self-love in that. Practice self-care. And I am here for you if you want to learn about what that looks like and what that could look like in your life, because it's certainly different for everyone. But it's so vitally important, especially if you're caring for others. Thanks very much. Have a brilliant day. Thank you for letting me come and share these few minutes with you, and I'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care.